everyone. Uh, Welcome to Not Your Normal Nerding. Today, we're going to talk about my perspective on something that really has a lot of importance. It's called time. So, a long while back, somebody asked me, and he said this: I want you to really think about this for a couple of days before you actually answer this question. And he asked me, what is the most important thing to you? If you did not have it, that your life from the time you were born till now would have been altered so dramatically, so drastically, that it would be the definitive aspect that made your life what it was. That was the gist of his question. He didn't ask it that way. He asked it a little bit more complicated. So I spent a couple of days thinking about that, and I realized it wasn't my mom or my dad. I love my mom. I love my family. I love my brothers and sisters. I love my dad. I love my nephews, I'm sorry. But once again, they are very, very important to me. They matter to me a whole lot. Before I even had a serious relationship, this question occurred before I ever had a serious relationship. Even after I had a serious relationship, nowadays I realize that knowing what those emotional aspects of love and companionship, they were really, really wonderful. They're great to have. They matter. That person was really, really, really important to me. My answer was my time after I thought about it. So we're going to talk about why that's so precious. And this is going to be as simple as it gets. If you imagine everything that's happened to you, all the love that you have, all the great memories that you have, including the bad ones, and unfortunately that's a part of life, but your mom that you love so much, your dad that you love so much, and everything or so, without the time to spend with them, without the time to build that relationship with them, without time existing, those relationships, those emotions, those feelings, those great situations would never occur. So time is extremely, extremely valuable. Some people are like, oh, my house is so valuable, it's $1 million home. Well, yeah, it's really, really valuable, but if it crushes down, the reality of it is you can rebuild a house. If a relationship goes bad, you can put in the effort to mend a relationship. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. There's never a guarantee in life, but those are possibilities. The problem is time is not renewable. If you use up 10 minutes of your time, or the amount of time watching this video, you can never get this time back. You're screwed. And if it was a bad video, I'm sorry. If it was a good video, great. You made your my time and your time was worthwhile. My time to make the video and your time to watch this. It's not just my 10 minutes, but it's your 10 minutes as well too. That's a total of 20 minutes worth of time that neither will get back ever again. Why do I do this? It's because I was asked to make this video, actually. So let's look at why time, in my perspective, is so precious to me. It's extremely precious. So I always tell people, of all things, my time is the most valuable to me. I can replace everything in my life. Well, no, I can't replace my mom and my dad. But because of the time I've had with my mom, my dad, my family, I get the good memories of those times. And so long as my brain is in good function, my memory is in good function, at least I get to keep that time that I did have with them. In the future, there's no guarantees, but I make my time worthwhile. I make my time, the value of my time worthwhile. A lot of people forget to look at the value of their time. So they do all these things in life, and they struggle, and they end up not having enough time. They get too busy doing all these things. They work too much, yada yada. And in the end, they end up wasting more of their valuable, most precious time trying to balance finance or situations or families or whatever it is. That's a waste of resources right there. There's a waste of time that happens when you do it without thinking it through. I'm not saying spending time with your family to help a family problem is a waste of time. No. That's probably not a waste of time if you love your family. If you hate your family, then no, you're not going to waste your time doing it. And if you hate your family and you're willing to put that time and effort to fix a family problem, then you don't hate your family, you love your family. So spend that time on your family, I get it. Or things that matter to you, things that matter to me, I spend my time on. So how do you value your time? Everyone goes through life not looking at the financial impact of their time. And I'm going to use this as an example. Say in a given day, there are 24 hours in a day. Well, every single one of those hours, well, you go to work, if you get paid, you can quantify the amount of time and your value that you placed on that time. And everyone's value is different. Somebody who gets $10 an hour at work, then they value that time at work at $10 an hour, and they say, hey, that's worthwhile for me to get paid $10 an hour to do this function, and to waste 8 or 10 hours of my day. So they valued that much of their time, something that's irreplaceable at $10 an hour. And that's how you have to really think about it. Yes, we do sleep. Oh, what about sleep? Sleep, the reality of it is sleep is always time well utilized. Sleep is very, very good for you. It allows you to recharge. It allows you to feel better. It allows you to repair your body. It allows you to decompress as well too. So your 6 hours of sleep or whatever it is, that's just as important as your time. Why? Because that gives you a functionality that helps you to be more functional overall. You have to rest. So that's a requirement. So you don't place that in the consideration of your time you utilize. So if you average about 6 hours of sleep, then you look at an 18-hour day, the value of your 18-hour day and all the things you do in your 18-hour day. So where does that value come into play? If you look at a yearly basis, most people get a yearly salary. Well, let's just say you make, $1 million a year or $100,000 a year, whatever that salary is. And let's quantify it to the daily basis instead. So 18 hours a day. Let's say that day, after work and everything else, you make $180. So if you think about an 18-hour day, if you sleep 6 hours, then you're quantifying your time for the whole entire day as $10 an hour. Well, I made the $180 in 8 hours at work. Yeah, but you still have to spread it because the other 10 hours has to balance out. So even though you made $180 in 8 hours, yeah, that means you were overproductive. So it balances the underproduction. So if you think about it, that day your time is worth about $10 an hour. Well, when you understand that the value of your time that you're willing to quantify it out is worth $10 an hour, then you can decide, okay, all the things that I do, is it worth $10+ an hour, or is it less than $10 an hour? And I'll use this as an example. When I quantify my time, and I'm not gonna tell you how I do the math on my time. I look at something as simple as doing my laundry. I do roughly about 30% of my laundry. And the reason why is that 30% doesn't require any major work. I put it in the washer, I put it in the dryer, I take it out, I throw it in my drawers, I'm done. It's kind of like my socks. That's all you really got to do. All my white socks are the exact same. All my black socks are the exact same. So ultimately, I don't have to pair them up or anything like that. I just throw them in the drawer. Takes me no time whatsoever. The time it takes me to put it in the washer, put it in the dryer, and put it in the drawer, that 30% worth of laundry that I do takes me roughly total time of my time, less than 15 minutes to do overall. The other 70% of my laundry, if I were to do it myself, it would take me, in a given week, roughly about 6.5 hours to do. So if you look at even $10 an hour, so let's do the sheer math behind that. 6.5 hours at $10 an hour, that's a $65 worth of my time, if I value my time at $10 an hour. That's 6.5 hours I don't get back as well too. The other side of the coin is the resources necessary, like say washing, drying, and all this stuff as well too. That takes a little bit of time. So let's just add another $5 for all the resources necessary. So the total cost of me handling the other 70% is 6.5 hours of my time and $70 as well too. Versus what I do instead is that 6.5 hours worth of time, I only spend about $35 instead in total, and a total of 45 minutes worth of my time to send it off to somebody to do that part of my laundry for me. So in the end, I save about $35, and on top of that $35, I save myself about 5 hours and 45 minutes. That's 5 hours and 45 minutes. I could do something way more productive. So the cost right there comes to me saving a lot of time and me saving a lot of money as well too. Why? Because even at $10 an hour, if I value my time at $10 an hour, I'm already saving $35 plus 5 hours worth of my time, 5.5 hours worth of my time. That's great because once again, I could do so much more. I could work another 5.5 hours and end up making back not only what my cost was, but so much more in the long run. So that's how you have to value your time overall. No, I don't value my time at $10 an hour. Actually, I value my time more than that because of all the things that I can do. My functionality overall, all of the nuances in my world, the business I run, the consultations that I do, the job that I have as well too. And once again, multiple sources of income, and we'll talk about how to do finances in another video or so. But part of when I speak with finance with people is to look at the value of their time and look at those costs overall. Well, if it's overall financially feasible and it frees up your time, somebody says, "Oh, I only slept 4 hours." Well, that's because you did 6.5 hours of laundry or whatever it is. If you could cut it down to 1 hour instead, you still have 5.5 hours. That means you could have gotten your 6 hours of sleep. Plus, you had 3 other hours to do other stuff as well too. Maybe make a good meal for your family, or maybe clean the house. And once again, even cleaning the house is something you have to look at. What is the value of your time? What is the quality that you put to that value? Well, if you can hire somebody to clean your house for $7 an hour, and they spend 2 hours cleaning your house, it costs you $14 versus you spending 2 hours of your time and $20 of your value. You still save $6 overall. They do that. You save yourself 2 hours to do other things. You can use that to make the extra $20 that you would have spent on that person and still made yourself a $6 profit. Is profit a good thing? It's a good thing if it's efficient for you overall. Not everything. There's certain things in this world, like fixing a car. Well, if your value is $10 an hour and an oil change you can do in 30 minutes, but the system is charging you $40 instead. Well, if you can buy the oil and all that stuff for fairly inexpensive, then do it yourself. Why? Because in the end, the value is that, hey, you're only worth $10 an hour. They're going to spend an hour and a half with your car, charge you $40 for for that service. And in the end, what does that mean? You're getting something that you can do at a fairly inexpensive cost. They're doing at such a higher cost. So those are the balances of what you choose to do and what you don't choose to do with your time, because you can never replace the time that you lose. So don't ever look at everything you do as in, oh, I need to get this done, I need to get that done. No, you need to get the things that you can do efficiently. And efficiency doesn't mean cheap. Efficiency means that you do it in a timely manner and you don't waste extra resources. Technically, when you look at extra resources that I've talked about in this particular example is about money resources. Everybody, well, most everybody in this world has to work for their money. So it's another hour of work that you had to do. Well, if you didn't have to do that hour of work to pay this person, why would you? Well, I had to work that extra hour. Well, take that hour, make that money, and give it to yourself instead of giving it to somebody else. That would be the better benefit overall. And once again, there are certain things that I do that I can efficiently do. There are other things that I do pay, $35, $40 for somebody else to do, so that I can more focus on the things that matter to me, the things that I like to do. And those things that I like to do, downtime, leisure activities, more sleep, those things benefit my health, benefit my life, make me more productive overall, make me more efficient, keep me healthy, keep me from getting sick. Those things are good things because in the end, if those things happen, your life is better. The less illness that you have, the less stress that you have, your life is much happier overall. No, I'm not the richest person in the world, but I have a fairly good life overall. And most people who come around me see a personality that is overall a positive personality. And the reason why is because I know how to value my time. I know how precious my time is, and I always look at everything I do, regardless if it's watching TV, creating a video, looking at my business stuff, handling a consultation, working at the hospital or whatnot. They're all placed in the value of my time. Even the amount of sleep I get, I make sure that on my days off, I get to catch up on my sleep. On my days that I do work too much, yeah, I might lose a little bit of sleep, but overall my sleep debt is minimal. And the reason why is because if you value your time, then you know one thing is that you need to make sure that you get an appropriate amount of sleep. You need to make sure you manage your health very well. And the way you do that is to balance that load on your body, balance your time. Make sure that things that you can do to balance your time, you do. Let somebody else do that work. May not be as good as you, but if it's going to be to a satisfactory level, a little bit of research. If you think about it, like I said, if I were to do laundry every single week, 6.5 hours times 52 weeks or so, that's 300 hours. I can spend 20 hours doing research on a good place to do laundry, and for 6 hours or whatever it is, spend a week doing that, and then try a couple of places over the next 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, it's it seems like quite a bit of work at first, but in the long run, you save so much time, you save so much money in the long run. Why not do it? Yeah, at first it seems like a headache to try, but the balance is within 2 or 3 years, your life is tons better, because now every single year you're saving yourself, 300 hours, which means if you work 300 extra hours every single year because you're healthier, you're happier, and you have less things to worry about because you are spending your time more appropriately, well, that's $3,000 a year that you can make if you're making $10 an hour. And you're not more frustrated, you're not rushed to do anything because you have the time to do it, which means it betters everyone's life. Similarly, I'm not going to spend an extra 300 hours a year working. No, I utilize that time to balance. So it's like maybe I'll add another 50, 60, 70 hours of work every single year because I have the time to do it, and I'm not stressed out doing it because I'm not trying to do my laundry. Something as small as that adds up in the long run. So it's something to think about when you look at the value of what is the most precious thing to you. The most precious thing to me is my time. Without it, I don't get to have the relationships that I do. I don't get to love my mom every single day. I don't get to tell her how great she is as a mom to me. Yes, my mom has been a bigger proponent, push in my life to be a better person. So I love her to death, and I love to be able to say I love you to my mom every single day. How do I do that? Because I'm healthy, because I have the resources to be able to call my mom. But without time, if I didn't have any time, I would not be able to call my mom. So those are things that you have to look at. So the value of time is so valuable. I hope you all reevaluate if you're struggling or so with all these things that are happening. Please reevaluate your time and put a value to your time. And if you realize the value of your time is better spent having another system handle a particular task for you, let them do it, because in the end you're going to save yourself time and money. That's the value that you have to look at your time. Thank you.